You're standing in a crowded subway car. A man collapses in the corner. 40 people are watching him fall, and not one of them moves. You'd think someone would help. You'd assume you would help. But the real answer is far stranger than instinct or cruelty. The more people who witness an emergency, the less likely any single person is to step in. Not because crowds are heartless. Because of math, your brain runs without you even noticing. This isn't a flaw in a handful of bad people. It's a pattern wired into nearly everyone, including you. In March of 1964, a young woman named Kitty Genovese was attacked outside her apartment building in Queens, New York. Newspaper reports at the time claimed dozens of neighbors heard her cries and did nothing. Later investigations complicated that story considerably. Some witnesses didn't realize what they were hearing. Some did call for help. But the case lodged itself in the public imagination like a splinter that wouldn't come out. How could so many people listen to someone suffering and stay silent? Two psychologists wanted a real answer, not outrage. Bibb Latané and John Darley weren't satisfied with newspaper headlines. They wanted data. In 1968, they built a series of experiments at Columbia University designed to recreate the emotional conditions of that night, minus the tragedy. In one version, a participant sat alone in a room, supposedly filling out a survey, while smoke began drifting in through a vent. Alone, almost everyone reported it within 2 minutes. But when researchers placed two passive actors in the room with the real participant, both instructed to ignore the smoke entirely, something shifted. Most participants did nothing. They sat there, smoke thickening around them, watching the people beside them stay calm and deciding to stay calm too. Why would clear danger get ignored just because someone else was ignoring it? In a second experiment, participants spoke to each other through an intercom, believing one of them was having a seizure in another room. When a participant believed they were the only person who could hear the distress, the vast majority intervened almost immediately. When they believed several other people could also hear it, fewer than half helped at all, and the ones who did took far longer to act. Latané and Darley gave this phenomenon a name: diffusion of responsibility. The more witnesses present during an emergency, the more each individual quietly assumes someone else has already acted or is about to. The weight of responsibility doesn't vanish in a crowd. It gets divided and divided again until each person is left holding almost none of it. There's a second force working alongside it. Psychologists call it pluralistic ignorance. Picture it. You glance around at the other passengers in that subway car. Their faces look composed. Nobody is rushing forward. So you read their calm as information. You assume they know something you don't. Meanwhile, they're doing the exact same thing, reading your calm face the same way. A room full of people, each one waiting for someone else to break first, each one mistaking everyone else's hesitation for proof that everything is fine. For decades, psychologists treated this as something close to a fixed law of human behavior. More witnesses, less help. Simple, clean, depressing. Then in 2011, a researcher named Peter Fisher decided to test whether that law actually held up everywhere. Fisher and his colleagues reviewed dozens of studies spanning more than 4 decades, comparing low-danger situations, like a dropped bag of groceries, to high-danger situations, like a physical assault. What they found cracked the original theory wide open. In situations that were genuinely dangerous, the bystander effect weakened. In some cases, it reversed completely. More witnesses to a violent emergency could actually increase the odds that someone stepped in, not decrease them. So why does danger flip the entire pattern? When a situation is ambiguous, your brain has room to talk itself out of acting. Is he actually in trouble or just resting? Is that a fight or just a loud argument? Ambiguity is where diffusion of responsibility thrives, because doing nothing always feels defensible. But when danger is unmistakable, that excuse disappears. There's also raw safety in numbers. One bystander facing a violent attacker is calculating very different odds than 5 bystanders facing that same attacker together. A psychologist named Mark Levine pushed the question even further. Instead of staging lab experiments, he studied real surveillance footage of actual public conflicts, the kind captured on ordinary security cameras in bars, streets, and train stations. What he found suggested the bystander effect was never really about headcount at all. It was about identity. When witnesses felt some shared connection to the person in trouble, a shared group, a shared team, a shared sense of us, the diffusion collapsed almost entirely. Intervention became the norm instead of the exception. But when the person in danger felt like a stranger, an outsider, someone outside the witness's social circle, the freezing returned. Strangers who feel like strangers stay frozen. Strangers who feel like one of us tend to move. This is where the story stops being about a subway car or a 1960s murder case and starts being about the size of your social world. For most of human history, you didn't live around strangers. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies, including long-term work by researchers like Robin Dunbar, point to small bands of roughly 50 to 150 people as the typical scale of human social life for the vast majority of our existence. Everyone in your group had a face. Everyone had a name. Everyone, in some sense, was already us. Diffusion of responsibility barely had room to operate, because there was no real anonymity to hide inside. If something went wrong, everyone could see exactly who did or didn't respond, and that visibility kept people accountable. Then cities happened. Strangers multiplied. Crowds became filled with people who shared no history, no name, no tribe. Your brain, still running on ancient social wiring, never fully adapted to rooms full of nameless faces. It still searches for cues about who's responsible. It still looks to others before acting. It just does this now in subway cars and parking lots instead of around a fire with 50 familiar faces. You can see this mismatch everywhere once you know to look for it. Think about a public argument breaking out in a busy plaza, and how many phones come out to film it compared to how many people approach to de-escalate it. Think about an online pile-on, a person being torn apart in a comment section with thousands of witnesses, where almost nobody intervenes and almost everybody watches. The platform changes. The intercom experiment never really stopped running. It just moved online. And the number of passive bystanders multiplied by a factor researchers in 1968 could never have imagined. Here's the part that should change how you move through a crowd. Knowing about the bystander effect is one of the few psychological discoveries that actually works as a kind of vaccine against itself. Studies following up on Latane and Darley's original work found that people who'd simply learned about diffusion of responsibility were significantly more likely to intervene later, because the moment of hesitation now had a name attached to it. They could recognize the freeze as it was happening, instead of mistaking it for certainty that everything was fine. So the next useful question isn't whether you're the kind of person who'd help. Almost everyone believes that about themselves, right up until the moment the smoke starts filling the room. The useful question is what you do with the half-second of doubt that crowds manufacture in all of us. Do you wait for someone else's face to give you permission? Or do you become the face someone else is waiting on? You'll stand in a crowd again. Someone will need help, and 40 strangers will be doing the math without realizing it, each one quietly assuming someone else already has it covered. This time, you won't be one of the 40 people watching. You'll be the one who moves first.